What is up, awesome people of the internet? This past week, Caitlyn Clark won Time's Athlete of the Year award, and just about everybody lost their ever-loving minds. You had people who thought that Caitlyn did not deserve the award because she didn't win anything, quote unquote, win anything. She was on Iowa, and Iowa ended up losing in a national championship game 2 years in a row. She also finished the season with the Indiana Fever, and they ended up losing in the playoffs. So some people were like, hey, you can't win this award if you haven't won anything. You had some people mad because Simone Biles, who actually won Athlete of the Year before, a couple years ago, she didn't win this year. People were mad about that she didn't win, even though she won 3 gold medals and had 1 silver medal in the 2024 Olympics. And then you had people who didn't like that a woman won the award over the likes of all the male athletes who are doing their thing. And then you had people who just hate Time Magazine. And they were like, you know what, Time Magazine, you suck. And whoever you choose, I don't like it because I don't like you, and blah, 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 blah. So you had that people. You had that conglomerate of people. And then you had the in-your-face WNBA, in-your-face WNBA sucks. And these people are not only celebrating the fact that Caitlyn Clark won, which of course should be celebrated, but they use this as another opportunity to bash the WNBA and bash the players who play in the WNBA. Basically saying, hey, y'all suck so bad that Caitlyn Clark has saved y'all, and y'all need to bow down and kiss her feet, basically. Now, absolutely, did Caitlyn Clark do a whole bunch of awesome stuff? She absolutely did. Absolutely. But people take it too far, which, it is what it is. That's how people are. You got extremes, right? And then you had what I would consider the normal people, aka people like me, who were either like, oh, cool, that's great, let's talk about it. Or was like, oh, that's cool, I would have picked somebody else, here's why, but that's fine. Shout out to Caitlyn Clark, Or they were just like, whatever, I feel like that's kind of the normal category. You had the extremes of people who are just like very upset for polar opposite reasons. And then you had the normal people who were in the middle, whether you liked that she won or didn't, but you were just sort of like, whatever. If y'all did not know, I made a video specifically around Caitlyn winning that award after it happened, so y'all can check that video out after you watch this. And then when people started to actually read what was in the Time Magazine article, or in many cases, look at screenshots that was posted on Twitter, you had another giant brouhaha. You had people saying that Caitlyn has bowed down to the woke mob, with some going as far as saying that they will no longer support Caitlyn Clark because, number one, Caitlyn Clark said that the eye poke that she had from Dejanay Carrington in the playoffs, that she said it wasn't on purpose. And some people are like, no, it was on purpose. No, you have been bullied all season. Acknowledge it. And because she didn't, they were like, you suck, and you bow down to the woke mob. Here's what Caitlyn Clark specifically said. She said, never once did that cross my mind, that it was on purpose. I've been poked in the eye many times playing basketball. It happens. She further doubled down on that, saying, if that would have happened in the NBA, do you think people would have showed up the next day and been like, hey, Tyrese Halliburton? I see why she picked Tyrese, because Tyrese played for the Indiana Pacers. Anyway, let's continue on. Tyrese Halliburton, did you poke Steph Curry in the eye on purpose? Question mark. Now, I actually do think it's a possibility that NBA reporters might ask something like that. Now, will the majority of NBA reporters ask that? Likely not, but I could see maybe one person asking that. Anyway, but then the thing that really got under people's skin is number two. Number two is the thing that a lot of think pieces, a lot of stuff was all about. When Caitlyn Clark said this, she said, I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege, I should say, a lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible. I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing. So that's what she said, right? This is on the heels of a bunch of racialized questions that she was asked about a whole bunch of stuff. But then she got to this part and answered the questions that she was given. Now, we do not have the specific questions and the specific wording of the questions she was asked, but it's safe to say that they were leaning heavily towards her needing to make some sort of statement around race, some sort of general statement around race, and in particular around black women. Now, did Caitlyn have to say what she said? In my opinion, no. She didn't have to say that at all. To me, I'm of the mind of whatever, dog. Like, when I first read it, I was like, okay, well, all right. Now, I don't think she had to say it. If I was her, would I have said it? Probably not. Maybe. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I was like, okay, whatever. But because this thing blew up, where the likes of, the Megyn Kellys of the world, the CNNs, Fox News, Matt Walsh, and a whole bunch of other primarily political commentators, even The View, who actually, I really don't think any of these people that I just named actually watch the game. but you even had the View commenting on this type of stuff. And it's like stuff that, these people are mainly used to political commentary, right? Political, sometimes dabbling into cultural commentary. But you had people saying, stuff like WNBA players hate Caitlyn Clark because she's white. That's why they hate Caitlyn Clark, because she is white. Did you know? PSA, did you know that Caitlyn Clark hates WNBA players hate Caitlyn Clark because she's white? Did you know that? I didn't know that. Like, that was news to me. That was the case, because I was like, whoa, newsflash, homie. Like, I didn't know that. And then you had people saying, now Caitlyn Clark is being forced to bow down to the woke mob, to the black women of the WNBA, apologizing to them for being white. And I was like, what? Wow. Okay. When did Caitlyn Clark bow down to the woke mob? When did she get forced to apologize for being white? Because one, why are you apologizing for being white? That makes no sense. That's like me apologizing for being black. That's stupid. Dumb. But the cultural commentary, the political commentary, the think pieces all came out of people who don't talk about the WNBA, but they were in on this topic because this topic was going to get you a whole bunch of views, so everybody had something to say. So I just sat back. I didn't make a video about it. I didn't talk about it. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to wait and see until all the dust settles, and then I'm going to make a video. So that's what this video is. Now, here's some pushback onto what some people said. Now, not all of the cultural and political commentary around this situation was wrong, but I'm going to comment on some stuff. Number one, newsflash. The WNBA, and specifically the WNBA players at large, do not hate Caitlyn Clark because she is white. If you haven't noticed, the WNBA is a majority black league, but there is a large amount of WNBA players that are white. They are. They're either white American, they're European, they're Australian, right? They're white. Now, do I think that the WNBA players, both black and white, who are used to playing with both black and white players, dislike Caitlyn because she's white. No, that makes no sense. The majority of players who have been asked about Caitlyn Clark throughout this season, now maybe y'all haven't seen those clips because it's easier for negativity to spread than positivity. The majority of players who have been asked about Caitlyn Clark this season have said some awesome stuff about her. They have. They've said that Caitlyn Clark has grown the league. Caitlyn, they're appreciative of her fan base and how she is bringing people out and all this other stuff. The fact that the teams had to change venues for their games to accommodate that type of thing. You saw a lot of that this season. Now, is everything honky-dory with WNBA players and Caitlyn Clark, or not necessarily Caitlyn Clark herself, but like the ethos, like the everything that wraps around Caitlyn Clark? No, not everything's honky-dory, because Caitlyn Clark was two things this past year. She was a rookie, and she was popular than everybody else in the WNBA. Everybody else. Caitlyn Clark, from day one as a rookie, was popular than all of the other rookies and all of the other vets. Her celebrity was bigger than a lot of WNBA teams. And that was very clear when Caitlyn Clark rolled into town. So you had her being a rookie, where vets always are trying to show up rookies. Vets are bumping rookies harder. They are trying to embarrass rookies. They're trying to sun you, basically. And this is not a WNBA thing exclusively. This is a rookie in an American League thing. This happens in the NFL. This happens in the NBA. It happens in the WNBA. It is what it is. It is something about being a new person, the youngest player on the team, where sometimes players in the league is like, hey, I'm going to get at you. That's why a lot of players have a welcome to the league moment. So partly, some of that is because Caitlyn was a rookie. Also, you have to tack on the sheer popularity that Caitlyn had this past season. And players do get jealous. That is a thing. That is absolutely a thing. And yes, sure, absolutely. Jealousy was a part of that. And it wasn't about her race. It was just about the attention that she got. And some people didn't like it, and some people wanted to show her up and be like, hey, it's not just her. I'm good too. And I'm not saying I'm good too just because she's white and I'm not, or she's white and I'm also white, but because I think I am better than her, or I think I am also deserving of attention. And, that's fine. And so players act accordingly and say accordingly. And then you have players, even included in the Times piece, that did think that there was something around race. Now, was this the majority of players? No, it wasn't. It wasn't. But you did have some that actually did specifically call out race, including reigning MVP A'ja Wilson, who said that she thought that Caitlyn Clark's race was a huge contributor to her popularity. She said, it doesn't matter that what we all do as Black women, we're still going to be swept underneath the rug. That's why it boils my blood when people say it's not about race, because it is. Now, you all may not like what A'ja Wilson has to say and what other WNBA players who may have said a similar thing have to say about this issue, but to say that she or other players in the league hate Caitlyn Clark because of her race is just not true. It's just not. Now, you can absolutely vehemently disagree with what A'ja Wilson said. However, she didn't say anything about hating Caitlyn Clark because of her race. She is saying that there is different treatment and different things that happen with Black women versus white women. Now, is that true? I don't know. Y'all be the judge of that. But that's what she said. But she did not say that she hated Caitlyn Clark because of her race. Now let's move on. Now, in terms of the Times piece, I wish there was a video on it because I think that Caitlyn's sort of privileged comments probably had a lot more to do than just the words that we saw on the page. Because we saw, the responses, but we did not see the questions that were asked. We did not see sort of the lead-in questions before that were asked that sort of guided Caitlyn to the what she said. Now, here's the thing. I am a very visual person. I love video. So when it comes to long interviews like this, I don't think you can tell the full story by just words on a page. Like I'm not of that mind. I am of the mind that I want to see a video of the full thing. I want to see a video of it. I want to see how they answered it, the way they answered it, the demeanor, the pace in their voice, the facial expression that they had, because I think you can get more context to ultimately what was said. Now, Caitlyn Clark clearly has earned her accomplishments, and she knows that. And at the same time, she went on to acknowledge that a lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been Black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate Black women, it's going to be a beautiful thing. Now, pay attention to the actual words Caitlyn Clark said, because we don't have video of it. We don't have video of it and the way she said it. We don't have video of the exact question that was asked. But pay attention to the actual words Caitlyn Clark says. She doesn't say that the league was built on Black women. She said this league has kind of been built on them, which is partially true. She didn't say the league was built on them. She said this league has kind of been built on them, because it has been. That's partially true. The WNBA was built on the back of the NBA, who have financed the league and still do to this day. The WNBA would not exist if it is not for the NBA. It's just a fact. Now, a lot of people don't like that. They get upset when people say that, but it is true. It is a bona fide fact, okay? All right, let's continue to move on. Now, while the league has been backed and financed by the NBA, the league has also partially been built on the backs of Black players like a Tina Thompson, like a Lisa Leslie, like a Maya Moore, like a Candace Parker, and at the same time, the WNBA has partially been built on white players like a Lauren Jackson, like a Ruth Riley, like a Sue Bird, like a Diana Taurasi, and a whole lot more of both Black and white players. It is all true. So I think what is at issue is how you take what she said, either in good faith or bad faith. Now, yeah, sure. The more you can talk about the players of the past and the players of the now, the more the league will grow. Caitlyn Clark knows that. Every player in every league knows that. In this interview, maybe I am wrong, but what I have seen from both what Caitlyn has done since she was a freshman in college until now is that Caitlyn Clark is an extremely confident person who knows how good she is, and she knows how much others love her. Caitlyn Clark knows that anything she tries to sell is going to be sold out like that. You all saw it with the Wilson Bowls. You all saw it with her jerseys. You all saw it with tickets to games. It is a thing. She knows that she could sell anything. She knows her popularity is huge. She knows that. She is also a person who is from a small town who has core fundamental memories of the WNBA, particularly of Maya Moore, who is Caitlyn's favorite player, who just happens to be Black, who played on the Minnesota Lynx, which is a team that happened to have a lot of Black players. Caitlyn has fond memories of watching Maya Moore and the Lynx do their thing, and part of her probably feels that Maya wasn't as popular as she should have been. And so when I see Caitlyn say what she said, I'm not thinking she's bowing down to anybody, because let's state facts. Let's state facts for everybody. Newsflash. Caitlyn Clark is bigger in terms of revenue, in terms of attention, and in terms of just butts and seats than any other player in the WNBA. It's a fact. It is a straight fact. And you can look at metrics, you can look at numbers, you can look at a whole bunch of stuff. You can look at social media posts. You can look at a lot of stuff to measure what I just said. It is a fact. Now I say that to say this. Caitlyn does not need to bow down to anybody. Why? What is she bowing down to? Like, it makes no sense, right? She's a bigger player than everybody. So there is no need to bow down to anybody. No need to feel that she has to do a certain thing. She does it because she wants to. Caitlyn said she grew up watching players like Maya Moore and players like her, other Black women who were doing their thing on a basketball court. Also, white women who were doing their thing on a basketball court. It just so happens that this interview was very leaning towards say something about Black women. And I'm pretty sure if it was a different type of interview, she probably would have said the same exact thing, about other players. I don't think that this is a thing where Caitlyn felt like she had to say a certain thing. She said what she wanted to say because she wanted to say it. And she said what she said because in this interview, she was given question after question after question that had a racialized tinge to it. So keep that in mind as you read the interview. Now, ultimately, here's the thing. Athletes are not meant to validate your political or cultural beliefs. They're not. Let me repeat this again for those in the back. Athletes are not meant to validate your political or cultural beliefs. If you are a fan of what Caitlyn Clark is like when she is on a basketball court, when she is draining crazy shots, when she is getting to the basket, when she's throwing some crazy passes, if you are a fan of that, of how she plays on the court, and now all of a sudden because she said something that you don't like about race or whatever she may have said, I think for the most part the racial stuff is making people upset. But if she said something else that you didn't like, here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. You saying that you will never, ever watch another game of Caitlyn Clark, you will never support her again, you will never buy tickets again, you will never do all this stuff again. Newsflash. You were never a Caitlyn Clark fan to begin with when it comes to Caitlyn Clark, the basketball player. You were never her fan if all of a sudden she says something off the court that has nothing to do with her play on the basketball court, and you're like, you know what? I'm done. I am done. Caitlyn Clark, I'm out of here. I'm taking my ball and I am going home. Think about how that sounds. Caitlyn Clark, the basketball player, was never someone that you enjoyed to that extent. What you liked was Caitlyn Clark, the mascot, where you could just put on whatever you wanted her to be in your mind. She was a mascot for whatever cause, whatever type of belief that you have. You decided to throw that on her. And because she didn't say anything, you were like, yep, I love Caitlyn Clark because of XYZ. And you couched it in Caitlyn Clark, the basketball player, but it was never rooted in Caitlyn Clark, the basketball player. It was rooted in all this other stuff that you thought that had nothing to do with Caitlyn Clark, the basketball player. That's okay. That is okay. That is okay for you to think the way you think. I think that's, it is what it is. That's okay. But don't kid yourself to think that your fandom was about her play, because it wasn't. It wasn't. Now, when it comes to sports, I learned as a child to appreciate the players for the skills they have on the court, not their political and rando beliefs that they espouse. Because, yeah, sure, you may agree with some of them, but also you may disagree with some. And if you don't want to be a fan of anybody because of what they said that had nothing to do with the sport, that had nothing to do with the actual play on the court, if you sort of broaden that out and say, because she said one thing I don't like or two things I don't like, I'm no longer a fan. Because, if that's your opinion, okay, fine, let's broaden that out. Is there anybody in this world that you agree with everything they have ever said? No, right? Probably, right? So you'll never be a fan of any sports player ever because of something that they said that you don't like. Let's sort of think about that. Here's the thing. When it comes to sports, these players are not your political mascots. They're not your political footballs. They have whatever beliefs they have. They think whatever they think. And my interest in sports, it's what's on the court. That's why on this channel, you don't see me talking about, political beliefs of players. You don't see me talking about race very often at all on this channel, because this is a channel about women's basketball. I'm talking about this because I feel like this has gotten to a point where I feel like I have to say my piece and I'm done. And I'm not talking about it anymore. Okay? It's gotten to the point where sports has gotten so political and everybody has to say something to it. And you're using, your perception of a player to kind of create this figure. And then when they say something you don't like, you're like, ugh, that sucks. I'm not a fan of you anymore. Here's the thing, guys. Appreciate them for the skill that they have on the court and move on. If you want to engage with other stuff, you can, whatever. I don't recommend it because you're just going to get mad. You're just going to get mad about something. Enjoy what they offer on the court, and that's it. Caitlyn Clark is a uber talented white 22-year-old who has a lot of stuff on her shoulders, a lot of people counting on her, a lot of people watching her every single move to either criticize or celebrate it. And while a lot of stuff is on her shoulders, she handles it with grace and dignity. And if you don't like what she said, she doesn't care. Now, let me address the elephant in the room, I would say. The thing that a lot of people have talked about that I have not specifically put a nail in the coffin on is this. Now, is some of Caitlyn's popularity because she's a white woman that can ball? Well, yes. I don't think that's a controversial thing. I don't even think that's a negative thing. I don't even think that's something inherently wrong. It's just a fact. It is just a fact that some people like Caitlyn Clark because she is a basketball player that happens to be white. It is what it is. Now, you have, at the same time, the reason why I say there's nothing wrong with it, because if there's something wrong with that, then there would be something wrong with the inverse or the other side of that, right? You have a lot of Native American and Samoan people who love Alyssa Peely. They love Alyssa Peely. The reason why is because she is Samoan and Native American, and she can ball. Now, are those people wrong because they like her because of that? No, there is nothing wrong with that. Same thing for Angel Reese. There are a lot of young black girls who are girly girls. They love nails, they love hair, they love makeup, they love looking good. And they love Angel Reese. Because Angel Reese is a basketball player, but no, she's not a basketball player who wears baggy stuff that kind of looks whatever and all that stuff. No. Angel Reese is someone who has her nails done, her hair done, everything is done when it comes to injuries, and yet she can still be the TikTok girl who's doing the funny dances on the court and all this other stuff, and is dressing to the nines while also playing basketball and also playing very, very well. People, here's the thing, guys. People gravitate to people for several reasons. One of those is if the person looks like them or acts like them or is someone they aspire to be. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't. Now, some people are going to be pissed that I said what I said. Some people are going to be like, you're a black racist because you said there's nothing wrong with people liking Caitlyn because she's a white basketball player. I don't. There's nothing wrong with that. Just like there's nothing wrong with people liking Alyssa Peely because she's Native American and Samoan and can play basketball. There's nothing wrong with that. All right? Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Here's the thing. You can be a fan of a player for whatever reason. As long as, in my opinion, as long as you are not using race as a way to divide, discriminate, or hate a person or a group, I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't. But maybe I'm wilding. Y'all could tell me in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. But that's my thoughts. Like, I don't think this is a big deal. I don't. But let me know your thoughts. So yeah, that is my wrap up of the Time Magazine saga and all the things that have come about. No, I am not commenting on the Washington Mystics owner talk. I got a lot of thoughts about it, but to be honest with you, I'm just annoyed by the whole thing. I just wish, I'm very annoyed by the whole thing. I think this stuff is a crazy distraction from the WNBA. And the awesome stuff that's happening. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to cover it just because it's just very annoying. It's very annoying. But it is what it is. The saga will never, ever, ever die down, it seems like. But anyway, that's my thoughts. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below.